My heart's beating. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have not been posting videos recently just because I haven't been, like, my heart hasn't been in it, and I didn't want to put something out there that was forced or I really didn't feel like doing, so I've just been kind of putting it in the back burner. But I have had this tag in my heart for like the longest time, and it is like the hardest thing to talk about just because it's so personal, but I wanted to open up just in hopes to share my story with somebody, and also to maybe help somebody out that is feeling or has been or is in that same situation that I once was. Reasons why I started to do YouTube videos and why I started blogging was to get my story out there, in hopes to inspire or, you know, help somebody else who has been in that situation that I have been, to know that you can get through it and that it's okay. So it's hard because for the longest time I don't talk to anybody about this. Like high school, nobody knew. That's why high school was like the worst time for me. Nobody knew what I was going through. I have been on depression medicine for about the most of my teens and early 20s. I never told anybody in high school. Nobody ever knew. They thought they knew the real me, but nobody knew who I really was. On top of having depression and anxiety, on depression I also had anxiety. So social stuff that a lot of high schools would do, I couldn't do just because I would work myself up to a panic attack. And at the moment I didn't know that it was a panic attack. I closed myself off from meeting a lot of people. Like in high school, I don't think I can count friends like now that I talk to that are like my ride or die people. Just basically high school was like the worst time for me just because I was going through all that and I had nobody. Then after high school, a lot of stuff that happened with school, it just threw me off track. Everything was like messed up. I don't even know, like stuff didn't work out the way I expected it to. Like I thought that I had like a plan. I thought that I would be graduating and going to college and have everything planned out, but none of that worked out for me, and that made everything even worse. On top of that, going to school and just existing made it like 10 times worse. I hated school. I would wake up and cry every morning just because I didn't want to go to school, and I missed a lot of school during that time. After I graduated, I enrolled in beauty school, and I really didn't like the person I was becoming. I felt like I was becoming really mean and not a friendly person, but at this time I had developed these other habits. I started cutting, and I wouldn't cut deep, but just enough to see the blood rush out. And for me, that was my release of pain that I was feeling. And I don't want to get into the reasons why I felt in this pain, but I had been cutting for a while, and nobody knew. Nobody in my family knew. I didn't want to tell anybody just because everything lumped in with mental illness, and everything just has such a negative stigma, and even today it still does, but it's not as bad. That's why it's awesome that a lot of people are talking about this. But back to that, there was just this one night where things got especially really bad at home, and I took it out on myself and cut. But I don't even know why or how I decided to, but I got up the courage to tell my sister what I just did, and I showed her. And at that moment, everything shifted, everything changed in my home life. For the longest time, I feel like Mexican, Hispanic families see depression and anxiety as a weakness, and it's just not talked about in the family household. So I felt embarrassed by it for the longest time, and I couldn't really talk to anybody. Like, it's hard. So when I told my sister, she immediately went and told my mom, and they all started crying, and we were all crying together. And you know, my mom was just like, why did you do that and stuff like that. But at that moment, like, I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt this pressure lift off of me. I had no longer felt like I was hiding who I was. And the dynamic in my family shifted. They kind of started to understand that what I did have was actually pretty serious, and to treat me not differently, but the way they approached me shifted in a different way, and it changed a lot from there. And you know, coming out in that sense, telling my family that I cut was liberating, and it is truly brave for anybody who does that, who struggles with that, to tell somebody about it. And one of the things that I believe helped me tell my family was, I was Googling one night. It's just, my mindset's so weird. I was Googling one night, like, cuts and all that stuff, just because I couldn't do it. I don't know, but I stumbled across a whole bunch of people with love on their arms, and I was like, love on their arms, what is this? So I went on their website and I found out to write love on her arms, and reading their mission statement and their story changed my life completely. I felt that I was not alone, that there was other people out there who were dealing with the same things I was dealing, and that there was actually help for people like me who were silent for so long and couldn't talk about it. And just seeing that, like, gave me the courage to tell my family what I have been doing to myself. And it's just like, I still follow, like, I love this organization for what they do. It's called To Write Love on Their Arms, To Write Love on Her Arms, and it is just like changed my life. And if I could ever meet the people of To Write Love on Her Arms, I would just tell them how much their story, even if it was just me reading online, changed my life. And these little moments where we think that we are not brave, that moments in our life is boring, truly there is some moments that we have shown that we are truly brave. I just want to, you know, open up a little bit with people who see this video and let you know that you're not alone, that whatever the case may be, how far you may have gone, there's still turning back, and there's still a way to move on from that. Every day is a struggle. There's some days where I still feel like I want to cut. There's days where I have really bad anxiety. There's days where I'm down, and it is something that I carry with me every day. It is a weight that's shackled to my ankles that will not release itself from me. But if I take things day by day, I know that things will get better. The thing I tell myself every day is to just push yourself a little bit further, because that little step is a step more than what you had yesterday, and eventually these steps become giant leaps. And by pushing myself just a little bit further has helped me out a lot. And you know, I really wanted to share this, not to be like, oh, boo-hoo, another YouTuber, or can I even call myself a YouTuber, another person talking about depression and anxiety. You know, I don't say this for attention. I do this, and I've wanted to do this from the bottom of my heart, just to tell somebody my story in hopes that that story will connect with somebody and they can move on from that deep, dark pit that they're in. So if you are struggling with depression and anxiety, even cutting, just find somebody you're comfortable with and talk about it to them, whether it be a counselor, your family members, a pastor, anybody. Just as long as you're talking about it, that weight will lift off of you. And I know that it's hard. I was silent for the longest time, and I don't want to be silent anymore. I don't want this to be my my definition of who I am, because I'm more than just depression and anxiety. I'm more than just a cut. And you know, it's a daily process learning things. So yeah, so that was really deep, but that is my brave story. I wanted to share that with you guys. For the longest time, I have talked about depression and anxiety on my blog. I'll leave a link below. Just, you know, it's more like personal. It is really hard to sit here and talk about it just because knowing like people are gonna watch this, but that is why I wanted to force myself to sit here and watch this. And I don't want, my main thing is, no, I don't want your pity. I don't need your pity. I don't do this for attention. I'm doing this to hopefully help somebody who was in that situation, sitting in a room alone, crying, thinking that she has nobody. You have somebody, and you know, you are loved. If you want to check out To Write Love on Her Arms, it is an awesome organization. I'll leave the link below as well. This was a little bit more of a serious turn, and hopefully I can, you know, incorporate different things on this channel, not just makeup things, because I don't want to be like one of many just trying to do like makeup on there. I'm more than just makeup. And so hopefully you guys enjoy this video.